Hey guys, this is director Janjua and welcome to Thor, aka the House of R.E.P. This is episode 35, and I've dedicated this episode to focusing on The Mandalorian. That's right, we're talking about the Disney Plus Star Wars series, and it's going to be a really great overview of the first and second seasons, so stay tuned for another great episode of the House of R.E.P. Okay, so we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian. I'm joined by my co-host and R.E.P Knight, Z. Say hi, Z, to everyone.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the House of R.E.P.
Alright, brother, so we're talking about The Mandalorian.
Yes.
We've seen Season 1, we've seen Season 2. It took a while for us to get this pod together because we wanted to actually finish Season 2 and do an overview of the first and second season. So what we'll do is we'll do the seasons in pairs. So if there is a Season 3 and a Season 4, we'll probably do those two together as well. So, now, set 5 years after Return of the Jedi, this, just to start this pod off, this is where Star Wars was supposed to go. This is what I would have done with my team. This is much better than the sequel trilogy. So the films that were kind of hit and miss, and you can go back and listen to our reviews about that and our critical analysis on that. Now, our 2 cents on this: very good casting, really good production design. Z, tell me what you think. Season 1, really good, right?
Yeah, Mandalorian Season 1 was really cool. We got introduced to the character of the Mandalorian, played by
Pedro Pascal.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal. He's so awesome.
Yeah, he's one of my all-time favorite actors, you know?
You've obviously seen him in films like Wonder Woman, and what's that film with Ben Affleck in it? The one where they had to go get the gold from that guy's house.
Oh,
Triple
Threat, I think it was.
Triple Threat. He was in that, but he had a bit more...
He was also the bad guy in Equalizer 2.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like he was like his buddy and who betrayed him and stuff.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, so he plays the titular character of...
Titular.
Yeah. Mandalorian. And he's obviously...
Is that how you say it, though? Or is it titular? I can't even remember. Titular. The main character. Titular just sounds so annoying.
Well, it's been said.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. So we get introduced to this character, and he's really awesome. He's a proper gunslinger.
I love it. It's very westerny.
Very like running around doing his kind of missions and stuff.
Isn't that like, you know, the guy who hires him initially to like track down the child? Isn't that the director?
Yeah, Gus won something.
Is it Gus Van Sant or
something like that?
Or is it the other director? I forgot his name, but he's like a really wicked director in his own right. And you like when the series kind of opens, right? He's got like his busted kind of like budget Mandalorian armor, and then it turns out that he's like one of those kids who's found like a foundling style character, like, you know, one of the kids who gets kind of adopted into the Beskar kind of Mandalorians. They're like more of a cult compared to the main Mandalorians.
Yeah.
And we don't know much about that when it starts off. We just think that, you know, like, this is the way Mandalorians are. But the show is really, really, really cool because, like, you know, it has all this dynamic, you know, this wicked production design, this wicked acting from the team. You've got, like, you know, the threat of Moff Gideon. You've got, you know, like, the child is hilarious. I love it. You know, like, originally it was just like the child, you know, he was called a child. You only find out until, like, the second season that the child's name is Grogu. So, you know, like, the way the show kind of starts off is that, like, we're back on Tatooine.
Everybody knows him as Baby Yoda.
Yeah. So it took time getting used to him being called Grogu. But, you know, like, when the show kind of starts, like, it's a sort of like a very, very, very kind of, like, sort of trepid time between, like, you know, the fall of the Empire and the New Republic kind of taking control. So it's sort of like a painful time where there's still a lot of lawlessness and, like, a lack of control. Having Carl Weathers in it was amazing because it just reminds me of, like, Lando and, like, you know, like him being the guy who, like, kind of operates the guild. You've got like some of the highlights is like, Nick Nolte playing that kind of scavenger character who helps
Yeah,
him.
he was cool.
There's some wicked stuff. You had the really cool kind of mercenaries who team up with him to take on the kind of that I think there's that prison ship when they go after her brother.
The IGAA.
Yeah, the IG was wicked. Like, having him in it, like helping him, that was cool.
What's really nice about this show is that it shows elements of Star Wars that we don't really get to see in the films. So you see characters like bounty hunters and scavengers and raiders and Tusken raiders,
and they get fleshed out more.
All those other races that you don't get a chance to see in especially the sequel trilogy. We never really got to see that.
Yeah.
Because everything was too focused on the main characters and what they were up to.
See, the thing is, I'm always going to have a problem with the sequel trilogies because I like Rey and I like some of the new generation characters, but they don't have time to grow fully. And I don't like that after everything that happened and all the kind of like hard work that they did to, get the Jedi back and get the Order back and get the New Republic back, all of that struggle and strife that they went through was kind of ruined, like only for it to kind of repeat itself in the sequel trilogy. So you're retreading kind of like old, it's not old stuff but repetitive stuff. You're like repeating yourself with the sequel trilogy when you shouldn't be repeating yourself. You should be doing what you're doing here in The Mandalorian, which is showing what's going on in between. Like following characters in between and kind of like, seeing how the world's dealing with the fall of the Empire, which is much better. So, yeah, there's a lot of really cool kind of touches in this. Like when he goes to pick up that kind of blue-looking fish dude, and then that guy summons with the flute, the speeder. Like really cool stuff. Like, there's some really good elements in it. The shootout at the end of the season is really cool. And where Moff Gideon has, like the... Moff Gideon has a tie and then he tries to attack him. That's a really wicked finale.
Yeah, I think
that bit.
It's nice how Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have taken on this show.
Yeah, they really did a good thing. I mean, like, when he goes to get like, like the kid, and he kind of works with IG-11 in the start of the episode. That's a really great start. Then, like later on when, the actual Mandalorians who are stationed in that area in Tatooine, they help him escape. That's one of the best moments in like the entire the highlight of season 1, and I really like that. The flow of season 1 was really cool.
Yeah, and he's got his little guild and this is the way, and
then he runs cool into stuff like that. So like some of his like lines, the action, the kind of it's really cool. It's just like one of those old kind of Clint Eastwood westerns, and that's
all
really
the
good
episodes
about Star Wars.
are like self-contained, so you can watch. The thing that's nice about The Mandalorian, you can watch one episode and not worry about its continuity, because even one episode is so nicely self-contained in a story itself.
Yeah, and the thing I kind of take away from the entire series is it feels like a kind of like a homage to Lone Wolf and Cub.
Yeah.
I used to watch Lone Wolf and Cub a lot, because originally I saw Lone Wolf and Cub as Shogun Assassin. So Shogun Assassin was like an adaptation of a couple of episodes of Lone Wolf and Cub.
That's right.
And that's when I first saw it. So like I saw it at like a friend's house, and then after that, I found out that it was actually an entire series. So, I went back and I still never worked my way through it, but it's still an amazing series, and this channels that a lot, because once he gets the child, it's very Lone Wolf and Cub, like very much like that. So it's really cool. The way that he earns his Beskar metal, like the rarest kind of like hardest element that's lightsaber resistant, is really cool. So that's how Mandalorians could take on Jedi and stuff. And then it's really cool that the Darksaber also appears too. So there's like nice throwbacks to Clone Wars and stuff. And, really wicked things like that, because, like, whoever has the Darksaber is in, like, control of Mandalore and stuff. So it's, like, really neat. It goes to show that the Rebel Alliance is trying to, like, now become the New Republic and rebuild stuff. So that's really cool.
I think that's a good achievement about this show from season 1 and 2, is that it takes all references from all the other media, the movies and the TV show. So it takes elements from the original trilogy, it takes elements even from the prequel trilogy, it takes elements from Clone Wars, it takes elements from the video games up to a point as well.
Very
loosely,
cool.
like,
I mean, it's almost like they're like, I remember reading somewhere that, Favreau and his team were never really happy with the direction that the sequel trilogy like went down, and it kind of, it's like a sore thing for him, like, and this is why the way the Mandalorian is written is almost like it's retconning, like, I wouldn't exactly say that this is like, something set in like total fact, but from what I've seen in rumors and stuff, and what I'm kind of getting the feeling of when I watch the shows, is that they're trying to retcon this. They're trying to bring it back. And the first season was really good. Like, the acting is good, the people look great, like there's a lot of there's a lot of unused ideas as well, his rifle, his whole look, is like similar to like what Boba Fett's original look was, and and there's like nice homages to like, Boba Fett's original appearance, like in the holiday special. So if you look at actually, the Mandalorian's look, he actually looks like, like how Boba Fett kind of looked when he first started. So like that's really interesting. Version. Yeah, so that's good about this and stuff. So it's really cool, and there's like a lot of nice in jokes. I love the carbonite. I love the puppeteering with the little kid. The baby Yoda, and he's so cute and like fun loving, and their dynamic is really fun. So the first season's really good, and you've got some really 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 cool like characters. You've got like just a lot of wicked characters, a lot of great dynamics, and the other thing that you really got, which is really cool, is you got some great directors directing these.
Oh yeah.
So each episode sort of split up, and you've got like you've even got like Bryce Dallas Howard, so she's kind of gotten into directing now, following in her father's footsteps. You've got the Thor director. You got like Taika Waititi. So I always murder his name. Sorry, buddy. But basically, you're wicked. Jon Favreau. Like Jon Favreau's one of my all-time favorite.
Does a couple, I think.
Yeah. So there's some really, really, really wicked stuff in the first season. Overall, like if I was to give. Like, I'm just gonna score the series now, so like the first season for me gets like 5 shields. It's really rewatchable, really good. Like, it's a very very strong show. Like, really, I liked it a lot. So Z, what do you think of the first season?
I liked the first season. I liked how there was the kind of like the Empire remnants, and they were scavenging for the little baby Yoda, and then there's that little scientist who's doing like clone work on him, because he's obviously wants to piece out something from the little baby Yoda to use for their Empire.
We're still not really sure why they need this blood. This is the thing, Yeah. Those troopers, like in the first season, the ones who are working with that kind of the other Imperial dude who's like, here's some Beskar metal, Armor G, you gotta work for me and shit. They're all kind of proper worn out from like sand stuff.
I think when they started the first season, they knew they wanted this to be the kind of like the quality top end show for Disney Plus. So they really wanted, obviously Disney Plus is their subscription service. I'm sure many people have it. You can watch The Mandalorian, both seasons on that. And the show was made specifically to push that platform forward. So obviously the first season was trying its best to kind of get its ground and establish itself as a show that, is really good. And that's why we see, those kind of old Mandos.
Yeah, so I really liked it. Like the end bit, like when he's going to get the kid, he's using the stuff. You got IG, I think it's IG-11 in this. He's not IG-88. He's like a different model.
Yeah.
You got the classic thermal detonator throwback. It's just really cool. And then like the first season just had a really wicked flow to it. And yeah, so how many shields would you give the first season, bro?
I would give it a high 4. Yeah, 4 shields out of 5.
Cool. So let's move on to season 2, because season 2 just starts really flowing hard. Like the season 2 it just hits the ground running, You got him and you got Mando and the child moving around.
Well, what did you think of the season 1 finale?
Yeah, it was wicked. Like
Yeah.
when Moff
That
Gideon
shock
tried to
trooper
get him.
and the fire trooper.
Yeah, you had all the fire dudes, and he got
And-
hurt, and it was quite nerve wracking to see whether he would survive.
Yeah.
And then his kind of comeback. And
Obviously, you should have seen the season by now if you're going to listen to our podcast.
yeah, definitely. Like I'll put spoiler alert just in case you've like stumbled upon the pod and haven't seen it yet. But what I like is it's like it's split into 8 episodes a season. It's really, really, really like a good flow. I remember some people throwing around that he could be like a clone of Yoda. Like someone tried to clone Yoda's DNA or something stupid. But I'm under the impression that what happens is that Yoda's race, they have like a limited number of members of their own race, and what happens is like after probably Yoda passed away, Grogu was born. So it's kind of like there's only a couple of them on their in the Star Wars universe at any given time. So Yoda's passed away. So you could say that Grogu is kind of like a distant relative of Yoda. Even you never know.
Yeah, because Yoda was like what 400-500 years old.
Yeah, or more. Like
Or
I remember them saying he was like
that.
800 years old or something.
Yeah, he's like really old. So their races live forever.
I really love
ages.
the one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is I really love the art of like the end sequences.
Oh yeah,
they're all the concept art.
Yeah,
so it's like probably the work of Doug Chiang and some other guys who are like, because I used to love their books. Like the art of Star Wars. I had so many of those kind of books when the Star Wars prequel trilogy came out, and I loved all their artwork and concept art and stuff. And I've always been a big fan of concept art and visualization of the story. So it's like really, really, really cool. And the other thing I want to mention is I love the way the show uses the Unreal Engine.
Oh yeah, that's really awesome. Yeah. So the Mando show uses a newer technique for filming, where it's using Unreal Engine for its green screen elements and background elements. So what it is that there's like a physical set up to a point, and it goes up to like a horizon point on the shooting that they're doing in the scene. And then the rest is a giant kind of like projection screen or LED screen, I believe, is the technique they use to kind of do a set extension of the location that they're filming in.
Yeah, and they've also utilized this amazing kind of crystal LED technology that Sony have pioneered. So they're using that for like building the screens and creating that set extension kind of work to make the show, and it's really cool. Another great thing about the show is it expands on a lot of like elements that we don't normally see. So things like running into like understanding the Tuskens more. We get returning characters from Clone Wars. So you've got like Katie Sackhoff returning, and she's awesome in it as Bo-Katan. You've got Sasha Grey from like WWE also playing a Mandalorian in it. You've got Gina Carino returns as the the rebel drop kind of mercenary kind of character. You got also Carl Weathers returning. You've got some really wicked elements in it, like where he kind of almost loses the kid for a bit, then kind of gets the kid back, then loses the kid to Moff Gideon, who returns. There's some really wicked action bits in it. There's some fun jokes. The director's really, like the humor's there, the action's there. I really am like very, very, very happy with the way the show flowed, and it really came out good. And it's just an amazing series. I just think that this show is what Star Wars was before, and is bringing that kind of Star Wars kind of glory back, which I think, which is what's really good.
The second season kind of polishes up the formula of season 1. So season 1 had that kind of step-by-step kind of episodic kind of routine, and now it's been more refined in episode 2 to kind of expand on that.
We have 2 amazing bits that happen in the series that I gotta touch on. One, you've got Ahsoka Tano actually physically appearing in a live action series, represented by the amazing and very talented Rosario Dawson. She is amazing in the show, and she's a phenomenal actress. So her coming as Ahsoka is like really cool, like an adult and older Ahsoka. So she whoops ass in this. Like she,
I loved you in Clerks too.
she's amazing in everything. Like I've been a big fan of hers for a while. So she's really cool in this, and I'd love to work with her. She's like
what
an
was
awesome
the first
actress.
thing we saw her in?
For me, it was probably Men in Black 2 or something earlier than that.
Men in Black 2 or something earlier.
Yeah, something earlier than that, because she's been in Sin City. She's been in a few things that I really like, so she's cool. But she's so awesome in this, and like a really phenomenal actress, actor. So really cool, and she's good in this. Katie Sackhoff's wicked. Then the other amazing thing that happened is that Mark Hamill came. And that was an amazing bombshell. Now, the thing is that news of it came out like really early while I hadn't watched it yet. So I made sure that I tried to avoid all the spoilers, and until I actually watched the bit where he returned. And his return just felt so kind of like poetic and amazing. Like he was coming back after such a period of not, just basically he wasn't used properly in the sequel trilogy, and it upset me quite a bit because he's like a legendary character, and the way he came back, the way he like took out these dark troopers and stuff, that was Luke Skywalker. That's the Luke Skywalker I remember, the Master Jedi. So yeah, it was amazing. That finale was really, really, really cool. He came back, and he started taking on all the dark troopers and stuff. So it was like really epic. It was an epic rescue at the end.
Yeah, and what do you think of Pedro Pascal and all the other performers who make that character?
I think everybody nailed it, man. They just like each episode has sort of like a deep kind of story within the story. So everyone's like, Ahsoka's trying to get Grand Admiral Thrawn. That's her arc. She's trying to get revenge for the rebels. You had a wicked cameo by Michael Biehn. He played like a mercenary, so seeing him was really cool. I never saw the finale of Rebels. I need to see it, but like basically Ahsoka played like Fulcrum, so she was like their liaison for the start of the Rebel Alliance, and then she had a wicked run-in with Anakin, as Vader, and then she realized that Anakin was Vader, and she was trying to basically, not fool herself, but trying to avoid the fact that possibly Vader was Anakin. Then she realizes that, and it hurts her a lot because obviously she's Anakin's Padawan student, isn't it? Yeah. So the way he turned, and like it's still
tough. It's tough.
The way he kills, like cuts off Mace's arm, and all the shit that happens with the kind of like the dead. What do you call it? Like
Anakin, no.
All that shit. I hated all that, man.
Power.
Yeah.
Unlimited. Is it unlimited or
unlimited power? I wicked love that though. Ian McDermott is amazing as Palpatine, man. This bit was wicked I meant to say that bit was wicked in Rebels, where they all kind of teamed up. So like Maul and thing. I'll talk about Rebels in another episode, but they did a good job, man. These guys are wicked. Like you even had George Lucas on set, cool. For season 2, so he was just kind of watching them do all this stuff, and it's great. I mean, he kind of, to me, it feels as though like John is kind of carrying on the flame that George did, which is what JJ didn't do.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel right.
George in the crappy sequel trilogy, and
I don't like that. I would prefer George to be there with me if I was directing, just to talk to him. Because he did create the franchise. So it'd be nice to like touch ideas. I know I could make wicked Star Wars series and movies. I'm that talented of a filmmaker. I know I could work in their universe and play very well in there. And the R.E.P Knights could do some great stuff. So I hope one day that we get a chance to do something really cool, because I'd like to do stuff about like the Black Sun, maybe make a kind of like another series about the Black Sun Syndicate, and the machinations of different families within that, do some kind of political kind of spy show on Chantrilla, You know, we could do that. I could do something in the High Republic era where Jedi are more, there's more of them, you know, like stuff like that. So there's a lot of areas where we can work on. And then I'd like to introduce probably Kyle Katarn to the universe.
Yeah.
I think Kyle Katarn's a wicked character, and I feel that, you know, the Jedi could survive, and we could retcon a lot of the kind of the BS that they did in the sequel trilogy. Because I don't think Luke would be that stupid. Me personally, I wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah, but what I also like about this show is that it's not so focused on the Resistance and the Empire. They take a back seat in this show, and they're there. You see the Resistance, you see the Empire, you see like X-Wing pilots in this show, you see Empire pilots like TIE pilots and stuff like that, and that's really cool. And some of the CGI for the TIE fighters and the X-Wings are amazing in this show. All the ship CGI and all the creature CGI is amazing. Like
the budget is amazing.
There's this one scene where Mando and a bunch of Tuskens and some some scavengers of a small village are trying to take out this giant worm thing, and it's freaking hilarious how they're doing that.
Yeah, and that leads directly into the return of another amazing character, Boba Fett.
Oh,
so Boba Fett returns having survived the Sarlacc pit. So they're trying to say that he probably crawled himself out of the Sarlacc pit.
He did the haka, and then just came in.
Yeah, for some reason, he's like got all these scars now. So I think that was the Sarlacc's digestion kind of fucking him up. Yeah, and his armor's all fucked up.
The start of season 2 had a few episodes where you were establishing, leading up to Boba's reveal. So you had our character Mando going through the steps, and you could see the kind of like the guidance towards Boba Fett's reveal.
Yeah, and then Boba returning was very cool, and the way he teamed up with the Mandalorian was amazing too. You know, them working together was really awesome. The whole flow was really cool of the seeing Slave One again. Like basically, you fixed that what I call like quite a bad kind of era where it's not really an era because in hindsight they weren't thinking that he would be such a fan favorite. So like, you know, killing him in Return of the Jedi was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's revenge for like him taking Han and stuff, you know, like Han got some revenge for hitting his jetpack. But you know, like when you actually see you know, Boba Fett in action, you actually get that kind of that nice throwback to the fans. You know, and it just makes me think back at, like, you know, there's been a lot of beautiful and awesome kind of fan moments in, like, The Mandalorian, which has really kind of, like, because if you look at, like, the sequel trilogy, you had Carrie Fisher, you had Han Solo, you had all these returning characters, and it felt good to see them, but then you just destroyed them, everything that they built, everything that they are, you know, like, you made Han weak, you made Leia, like, her character kind of like she's not doing much except funding the kind of the resistance. So I didn't like any of that. You know, she would have been in a much better position, you know, as a Jedi. You know, like there should have been 2 temples, one that she runs, like she runs the one on Coruscant. Luke could have had one in Yavin, you know, so that the Jedi can't fall. You know, there's so many fallbacks. So what I want to do is I would do that. I would, you know,
because it's a real shame that you don't see. I mean, you saw it a bit in episode 9.
Yeah, personally, I think if they do a little bit of a time jump in the next one, right? If Mandalorian season 3 takes place a couple of years after, and Grogu's kind of grown up a little, and Mando's a little older, and you know he runs into him again, or maybe when the Jedi Temple falls from Kylo Ren's situation and stuff, Mando could come and try and get him or something, you know, or you know he runs into the Knights of Ren. I don't know what they're gonna do, but basically we've got to see a lot of people come back. Like we've got to have that kid come back from Rebels. I found the kid's name. He's the other Jedi guy. You know, like just some stuff. You know, some good stuff has to happen. You know, and I think they will. I think they'll keep it going and they'll keep it great. And I just personally I'm very happy with the show.
Yeah, like, I love also the choreography on the show. Like Mando's actions are really sick with his blaster, his flamethrower, and his jetpack and stuff like that. And one episode that was also really nice, just going back quickly to episode 1, was the one where he had to like defend himself against the bounty hunters in the little thing.
That was really cool.
Little garrison area, and that was really sick.
Yeah. The spiders were really weird as well.
Yeah.
That was nasty, that bit. Like, you know, the spiders were chasing them and shit. and the ship almost got overwhelmed until the X-wing pilots.
But I think
them.
season 2, definitely the biggest highlight is having Ahsoka on the show, and seeing her in live action form, seeing her duel her double white
she's one of my favorite
lightsabers.
characters.
So
she's great. Like,
awesome.
Like people, I remember when she first appeared, people were like, "Oh man, why does Anakin have like a Padawan learner? It's just whack, man. It's messing the continuity up." And she turned out to be one of the best characters in the Star Wars franchise.
She was so well written.
Yeah.
So well written, the character in Clone Wars, and she went through a lovely progression.
Yeah.
On that show.
And also another great
Padawan to like Jedi. What do they call a kind of trained Jedi?
They call them foundlings when they find them, then younglings when they train them.
Yeah.
Then they're Padawans, then they're Jedi, then they're just Jedi Knights. Then
Knights,
from being Knights,
Jedi Knights.
From like us R.E.P Knights.
Yeah.
But like basically, you know, the Jedi themselves, they became really, really, really lazy, man, during the kind of prequel trilogy era, man. Like, you know, they just were, I don't know, they kind of lost touch with what it is to be kind of like this brave Jedi Knights going around the galaxy. I think they kind of they became a bit too big, you know, as an organization. They were involving themselves in things that they shouldn't be involving themselves with, like war and stuff, man, you know, and things. And yeah, I would have personally think that, you know, like I was thinking back at the bit, that everyone cringes at, you know, like the bit where the kids are all scared when Anakin comes to kill him, you know, that he killed kids. I would think that those kids would be like kicking his ass, man. You know, you get what I mean? All them kids would like gang up on him, man. Yeah. So
they're flying about all over the place.
But anyway,
it's like, stay now, you little kids.
I just think it was cool. I think Luke's bit was wicked too.
Yeah.
It was very, 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 very.
What did you think of like Giancarlo Esposito's character of Moff Gideon?
Moff Gideon's wicked, man. He's very manipulative. He's very conniving. He's a strategist.
Is it last year or this year? I could say last year and this year has just been Giancarlo all over.
I know. He's
not the Giancarlo from Mr. Nice Guy. We're talking about this Giancarlo.
We're talking about that Giancarlo like another day.
But this actor, man, he's been in everything we've been watching. He's in The Boys. He's in The Mandalorian. He's even in Far Cry 5, which we've yet to play because that game ain't out yet at the time when we're recording this podcast. So that looks pretty awesome too. So yeah, what did you think of him as Moff?
He was great, man. Moff Gideon's a great character, and the fact that he has the Darksaber is pretty cool. But how he got it off Bo-Katan is interesting when
so how does that Darksaber work? Because it doesn't look like a normal lightsaber.
The Darksaber is actually an old lightsaber that was made by a Mandalorian, if I remember correctly, to kind of fight Jedi with. It was inverted to try and kind of sort of like be a kind of...
So does it slice stuff still?
It's like a proto-saber. They call it the proto-saber, so it's like an early lightsaber.
So is that why it's got inverted colour?
Yeah, it started off as a kind of like a fan thing, you know, like in... Do you remember we used to play with them when I used to mod Jedi Outcast?
Yeah.
You know, so it used to appear in like lore and legend kind of storylines and fan art and stuff. And that's basically been now borrowed and brought over to the main kind of continuity, which is really cool. There's a lot of wicked things that have been brought over from the legends, which used to be the sort of like the expanded universe,
right? And
I feel like when they decided to kind of sort of turn that stuff all into legends, and then say that that's not the canon, then that was a bit of a shame, because like you know, there was some wicked stuff in there. Really wicked stuff, and they kind of messed it up a bit. Obviously, Chewie dying was whack. Yuksang Vong were alright, you know, I didn't really like them too much, those organic dudes. They kind of like felt like the organic ball.
Those are like those writers' perspective.
Yeah. But what I did like was like characters like Mara Jade, and you know, like Joruus C'baoth, and Luke fighting his own clone from Bespin's hand. Yeah, so, you know, the expanded universe, right, and the television shows just are better than even the actual movies, because you go into different territory and you go into like different, you know, like new kind of arcs. Ezra Bridger, that's his name. So like in Rebels, you deal with Ezra's, you know, kind of line, you know, the Rebels, You've got like really cool stuff, and now like if I remember correctly, I read that Ashoka's gonna get her own series with Rosario, where she's gonna go after.
So Disney are expanding on this.
Yeah, so she's going after that guy, Grand Admiral Thrawn, and all that stuff to carry it out on. So you're gonna have that remnant stuff. We could have some good stuff where we could see like
more
Han,
of the Moff,
or maybe more Moff Gideon, early stuff. But I think we might be able to see some more. Like stuff with her. Maybe she runs into Han. Maybe she runs into Luke. Like more stuff happens. We basically there's a lot that they can do. There's a lot of directions that they can go in, and then Boba's gonna get his own series too.
Wicked.
So it was nice to see Ming-Na in the first season, and she got killed. Then I thought we weren't gonna see her again, but then seeing her come back and she's like half cybernetic was pretty cool.
Yeah, because I think she was doing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. a lot. And then there was a gap, or they finished that, and then she came back for this.
There's a lot of wicked stuff, but what I also don't like though, is like, obviously Luke's kind of like natural hermit, and he kind of went to T.H.O.R, which is like an ancient Jedi temple. It's like the ruins of a temple, and he's just kind of like been living there and stuff. I just feel that they still kind of wasted him, as a character.
Yeah.
I feel that. Maybe in the future there has to be a way for people to kind of come back, even from the dead. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot that we can do. Even like Jedi Fallen Order is better. I haven't even finished the game yet, but that was a fun game.
Yeah, it was really cool. It had
really well done.
That classic feeling of a Jedi adventure game.
It reminded me of Outcast. It kind of like felt like that again, And I liked even Jedi Academy, where I made my own kind of like guy who looked like Plo Koon. Yeah, he was like one of my favorite dudes. So Jaden Core, or whatever that guy's name was, that kid who starts off at the academy, you can make him a human, you can make him like a Twi'lek or something. I don't remember, but it had a character creator.
Yeah.
So I made my guy look like Plo Koon. Yeah. Because Plo Koon was one of my favorite G's.
I think one of the highlights of season 2, I have to say, is all the little team ups he does in certain episodes. So the team up he does with Ashoka is a pretty awesome episode. The team up with Bill Burr's character, I've forgotten his character's name. What's his character's name? That felon guy, who's basically they're trying to get that it's some sort of mineral that they're trying to get in the truck, and those raiders are coming to attack the truck.
It's like a fuel in it. That bit was wicked.
That was awesome. That was an awesome episode where they raided that kind of like Empire outpost.
Yeah, with the
which was
remnant
full
Empire,
of that kind of mineral that they were scavenging to use against the resistance. And then the finale where he teamed up with Bo-Katan and all the other people.
Yeah, all the major players were
take
there.
out
Nice
to get Baby Yoda back, Grogu, basically.
What do you think of those kind of Dark Trooper Terminator looking
I think
things? I don't like the
alright.
design.
They're not too bad.
I think they're alright.
I liked their little theme song, the kind of dubsteppy sounding theme song. They're like, they sound all metally and violent like Terminators or some shit. And when they came to get him from that little temple place where he was doing his Yoda mantra and shooting the beam in the sky like a classic film trope, was funny because they just kind of picked him up and then flew up into the sky.
Because he tried himself out and calling out to the
They purposefully looked really janky and robotic and stuff, and looked a lot like those guys called in Clone Wars, the ones that are better than the shitty little droids. They have those arm blasters.
They're super battle droids. I love those guys. Super battle
droids.
They were cool, man. Super battle droids.
Yeah, so they remind me of that.
I used to love fighting those guys.
Very clunky, hard.
Do you remember when they just knock away the other guys? Like, get out of the way.
Yeah, like
that bit was sick, man.
Yeah, or droidicars. They're a bit like droidicars. They don't roll.
The prequel stuff has some good shit. We'll talk about the prequel trilogy because I used to watch that like crazy, man.
But definitely the highlight has to be Luke and the finale. I mean, the finale was epic. Seeing Luke, seeing Baby Yoda getting rescued by Mando.
There's a lot of wicked stuff.
Bo-Katan was great, played by Katie Sackhoff.
Yeah.
Moff Gideon was great in that episode. All the actors put on a real good appearance.
Boba Fett's bit when he came back was sick,
and it was awesome to see the seismic charge.
Yeah, man, that was a nice homage to the prequel trilogy, seeing that he had one of them left or a couple of them left, man.
And it's still nice to see that Boba Fett is pretty much a badass. They totally improved his character from the prequel, the original trilogy.
How did he restore his armor? You know, that's one thing that, like, he quickly restored it. Because it was quite battle-scorched and messed up when he was young.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like when he ran into, like, Han Solo and everyone in Cloud City and then took Han away. And he repainted it from his dad. So when he claimed it, he gave it its own color scheme. You know, and...
But it's like mind-boggling to see.
It's all fresh looking.
It's so sick to see Temuera Morrison play that role again after years and years after Clone Wars.
Yeah, I mean, what's really good though is
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, I mean, what's really good though, right, is that he kind of took over the character from the other guy who played him, and kind of made it his own thing. And I kind of prefer it. You know, like I prefer Temuera Morrison as Boba Fett. Yeah, I just really like him as that. But yeah, no, just to wrap it up, if I give this show a score. I would give this 5 shields as well. I really loved it because, like, you know, this is the Star Wars that I grew up loving.
Yeah.
So this is the stuff, like the sequel trilogy I don't like so much. You know, I find it difficult to want to kind of, like, you know, I don't know, it just kind of put me off Star Wars for a bit. I kind of didn't want to watch any, you know, like I hardly have rewatched them.
I do prefer the direction where this Mando series TV show is heading.
I'm hoping that it retcons it. You know, like I've been hearing a lot of stuff, like people have been saying that it's gonna retcon a lot of things. You know, it's gonna retcon the sequel trilogy, and I'm hoping that does happen. You know, but we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of elemental and spiritual stuff that in the Force that we don't see. Like there was that sort of like that weird planet where there's like the personification of the light and the personification of the dark. You know, with the father and the brother and the sister. There's a lot of weird stuff like in Clone Wars and in Rebels. You know, they're expanding the lore and the mythology. So I'm hoping to see more of that. And Z, how many shields do you give the show?
I would also give season 2 like a 4 out of 5. I think it's pretty awesome. It was a pretty awesome season. Even at 8 episodes, it's quite condensed, but even that is more than enough to get like your Star Wars fix with everything. So yeah, I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a really, really great time for VOD and TV. Like TV shows now have film budgets. We just did Altered Carbon before this. You know, we're watching Star Trek Discovery, which is great to see Star Trek back on the TV screens. And just it's really cool. I love this stuff, and I want to just, like, you know, say, you know, great work to all the filmmakers and the team.
Yeah.
You know, like, fantastic work from you guys. You know, I really hope that we one day get a chance to also work with Lucasfilm on some cool stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the R.E.P Knights have some really great ideas. We're a great team. So, yeah, looking forward to it. And, yeah, thanks, guys, for checking out this episode of Thor. Really appreciate it. Please sub, you know, share and like, you know, wherever you can. We're available on, like, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We've got the show on YouTube. So the show on YouTube is a little bit like more kind of like the episodes are a bit behind because we're catching up to the Anchor, which came first. So, you know, you can catch earlier episodes via Castbox and, you know, wherever you want to subscribe for the pod. And then the video versions of them, which are really cool. They're made by Z. Which you do a wicked job on, by the way, bro. I really, you know, want to thank you for that. The show is just amazing because the R.E.P Knights are amazing, and, you know, it's great to work with Pri. It's great to work with you, and, you know, we just keep going, keep making stuff happen, keep bringing the magic.
Yeah. So keep subbing us, keep liking us, and we hope you enjoy the show because we got many more awesome episodes up until the end of our lovely season here. So keep on watching.
Yeah, keep on watching, and thanks again, guys. We'll see you on the next episode of the House of R.E.P.